Chance here for Heisey. Her shot, she scores! Tessa Janicki, your golden hero in Czechia.
All right, we always knew it was going to go down. Canada, USA, and overtime. You just saw it. Tessa Janicki scores the game-winning goal. Karissa Donkin, great to see your face again. What are your immediate reactions to this Women's World Championships?
Well, another great one to talk about, right? So lovely to see you too. I was thinking about this all weekend because Canada USA never disappoints, right? And of course it went to overtime. It's like death, taxes, Canada going to overtime, gold medal game being decided by one goal. And it was a fantastic game from start to finish. 3-on-3 OT, is always so fast paced. And then to see the way it ended, it's a tough one because Canada was the better team throughout overtime. I don't think anybody would dispute that. But then, an uncharacteristic mistake by Jocelyn Larocque, unfortunately, goes straight to Taylor Heisey and then ends up on Tessa Janicki's stick. And of course, then we see it ends up in the net, and then her stick ends up in the crowd, kind of like a little bat flip moment.
Yeah, there was some good sellies, right? But I would agree, Canada, the much better team. I do want to ask, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Of course, everyone's talking about it. The collision between Laura Stacey and Erin Frankel, was it a penalty, Karissa?
Yeah, that's a tough one because we all know how fast Laura Stacey is. She's like a train, right? And certainly doesn't seem like she intended to hit Erin Frankel. Probably would have been pretty difficult to stop, but you don't really see her kind of make that movement to avoid her. And, unfortunately, Erin Frankel gets hurt on the play. So I think they got to call it. I think that's probably a penalty. If I had to put my money on it, I would call that a penalty.
Certainly a moment that seemed to change momentum, and everyone's talking about it. Lots of people debating about it. I can't teach you how to shoot a puck, but I can say Laura Stacey skates very fast. I actually physiologically don't think that she would have had the capacity to get out of the way at that speed, but I'm not a ref. Tessa Janicki, of course, scores the game-winning goal. Who else gave us the goods?
Well, 2 words, Montreal Victoire, that top line for Canada, right? I mean, they were fun to watch, just sort of copy paste them in. And I think that's the thing about the PWHL is you have that sort of built-in chemistry that you can pull on. I mean, Laura Stacey, like every 5 seconds, she's on a breakaway. She's always fun to watch. We just talked about her speed. Marie-Philippe Poulin, well, what else can we say about her? Best player in the world, MVP of this tournament. She obviously delivered, but I think we have to talk about Jennifer Gardner. This is her first senior national team appearance at a world championship. She was an alternate last year. So if Marie-Philippe Poulin, we know she had been dealing with an injury last year. If she hadn't been able to go, that would have been Jennifer Gardner's first tournament. But instead, she ends up playing for Team Canada on the wing of the player she watched score in Vancouver in 2010. How cool is that? And then she ended up leading the tournament in goals. So I think she's a player who's going to be really hard to keep off of that not American roster, Olympic roster next year, Anastasia.
I agree. And it's been really a theme of like, okay, what does the PWHL do in the formation of these Olympic rosters? And I feel like I'm kind of eating my words a little bit because I was like, I don't think it'll change that much for Milano-Cortina, but it is so inspiring to see the impact already that this league is having on international women's hockey.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, somebody like Jennifer Gardner, again, is an example of someone who earned their way onto this team in part based on their play in the PWHL. Daryl Watts is another player. And I think the other thing, Anastasia, is just having these players be mid-season in the PWHL. It's just so fast. Like Canada USA is already the fastest, most exciting hockey to watch. And then I think it's gone up a level this year's game and then last year's gold medal game as well. Just the product of them having played so many games in a season. It's super fun to watch and also just fun, like you said, to hear on the broadcast talking about implications for the playoffs. We saw a lot of momentum, I think, come out of this tournament when we went back into the PWHL season last year for some teams, and then other teams struggled coming out of it. So it's been a game changer, I think.
Hockey North is back, and we're going to be talking about the playoffs ever so quickly, but I want to put you on the spot again. 3 big takeaways from this Women's World Championships with just a handful of months out to Milano-Cortina.
Yeah, so for Canada, I think it's not going to be an easy decision. Virginia Kingsbury and Troy Ryan. And so you look at, we were talking about Jennifer Gardner, we were talking about Daryl Watts. Those are two players who I think have proven, in my opinion, that they should be on that Olympic team. But then who do you remove, for them to be on the team? There were 25 players at this year's World Championship, and we saw them cycling in and trying different players. Well, only 23 can go to Italy. So there are going to be some really, really difficult decisions on the blue line as well. We saw an 18-year-old Chloe Primerano. I tend to think she's going to be on the team going to Italy. So that's what I would say for Team Canada. And then, when we look at the international stage as well, Anastasia, super cool to see this be the most attended Women's World Championship ever in the Czech Republic. First time they'd ever hosted it. And Czech was so close to defeating the Americans in the semifinals, which obviously would have been a really cool storyline. But my big takeaway for the other countries is just, it's so exciting to see who we're going to see in the PWHL in the future. Tessa Janicki, Caroline Harvey with the USA would already be one of the best defenders in the PWHL, I think. And Kristina Kaltunkova with the Czech Republic. She's declared for the draft this year. I think she was the host team's best player in this tournament. So lots of fun stuff ahead.
So fun. And I'm ready to dive back into the P-Dub with you, buddy. Thanks so much. It was a great Women's World Championships. Not to worry. If you are a fan of the red and white, I think we both agree Team Canada was the better team in that final, but that's sports. And you know what? The Canadians are still led by the greatest of all time. We're going to leave you with this. Marie-Philippe Poulin, of course, she gets that lovely little fancy fun red cape from the legend herself, Caroline Ouellette. She surpassed 200 caps. It's amazing. Thanks so much. This has been Hockey North.
Thanks for having me.
Has been so many incredible fighters in this program, but I think you all agree that you are the very best to ever pick. So congrats.